The mist clung to the surface of the English Channel like a shroud, thick and tasting of salt. Through the grey veil, 3 shapes emerged, ships as dark as the hulls of a funeral barge. Their wood was stained with black pitch, and their sails, catching a sudden gust of cold Atlantic wind, flared a deep, bruised crimson. At the prow of the lead ship, the My Revenge, stood Jeanne de Clisson. She no longer looked like the noble woman who had walked the halls of Clisson Castle. The fine silks had been replaced by leather and rusted chainmail. Her hair, once intricately braided by handmaidens, was now windswept and tangled, framing a face that had forgotten how to smile. It had been months since the French king, Philip VI, had invited her husband, Olivier, to a tournament only to seize him. He had been executed for treason without a trial, his head placed on a pike for the public to mock. In that moment, the devoted wife died, and the lioness was born. "Ship on the horizon," the lookout shouted. Jeanne narrowed her eyes. A merchant cog, flying the fleur-de-lis of the French crown. It was sluggish, heavy with wine and wool, and completely unaware of the shadow closing in. "Ready the grapples," Jeanne commanded. Her voice was steady, lacking the frantic energy of a common pirate. This wasn't about gold. It was about a debt that could only be paid in blood. The Black Fleet moved with predatory grace. They didn't fire cannons to sink the ship. Jeanne wanted to board. She wanted them to see her face. As the ships collided, her crew, mercenaries and Breton loyalists, swarmed the merchant vessel. Jeanne was the first over the rail, her sword catching the pale sunlight. The skirmish was short. The merchant sailors were no match for the fury of the lioness. Within minutes, the deck was slick, and the remaining crew was rounded up, trembling before the woman in the black cloak. Jeanne walked slowly down the line of captives. She stopped in front of a young cabin boy, barely old enough to shave. "What is your name?" she asked. "Jean, my lady," he stammered. She looked at the bodies of the French officers behind him, then back to the boy. She sheathed her sword. "I will leave you alive, Jean, but you have a task." She leaned in close, the smell of salt and iron hanging between them. "You will swim to the shore or find a boat, and you will find your king. You will tell Philip that the English Channel is no longer his. Tell him that every time a ship fails to return, it was the Lioness of Brittany who took it. Tell him I am coming for his blood, one ship at a time." She turned her back on him and signaled to her men. "Burn the rest. We move before the tide turns." As the sun began to set, the crimson sails of the Black Fleet disappeared back into the fog, leaving behind only a single survivor and a burning wreck, a fiery message sent across the waves to the throne of France. For 13 years, the message would keep arriving.